Welcome to a special edition of the Red Zone Overtime, sponsored by Papa John's. I'm Colten Sneed. This is KO Kyle Owens. This is the Red Zone Overtime State Preview Special. Kyle, this journey began many months ago. Every practice, scrimmage, game leading to this week, state championship week. Before we get into this, the preview of the state championship games, let's go ahead and talk about your overall thoughts on the 2025 season, some key highlights, key points that have led up to this moment.
I think it's been a phenomenal season. I think we've had some great games, some great performances, some great athletes. Kagan Ash breaking a career rushing record and the single season rushing record. Just some great ball games too, some great comebacks. We talk about Carthage and Chapel Hill, that game. Kilgore's been in some games too this year. Joaquin's had to have some comebacks. So it's been a great year to just kind of see everybody come together. A revenge year for a lot of teams too. Kilgore wanting to get back to state, Joaquin reaching the state semifinals, then finally advancing to their first state title game. So I think it's been a year of revenge and a year of really good performances too.
So you mentioned the three teams that we have: Joaquin, Carthage, Kilgore. These are the three East Texas teams playing in state championship games. Here's a look at their game times. We start tomorrow. Joaquin and Hamilton, 7 o'clock. They're the nightcap for the 2A Division I state championship game. We have a break on Thursday, and then we really get rolling Friday, starting at 11 o'clock, Kilgore and Stephenville. At 11 o'clock, again, the 4A Division I state championship game, directly followed by Carthage and West Orange Stark. 3 o'clock kick time for the 4A Division II state championship game. And let's get right into Kilgore representing our District of Doom. Kyle, this is a team that you've been high on all year long, even before the season, that you've been really hyped up about and you kind of expected back in this point.
They've definitely been my preseason pick from the jump, and they're taking on the Stephenville Yellow Jackets in the 4A Division I district game. And you know, they have been my pick all season long because of everybody they had coming back. You had Kason Brooks coming back, LaKeeleon Graves, Jacqueline Sheffield, Waters in the backfield, Rayshawn Williams, just so many, Dre Sanders, so many guys coming back that wanted to make an impression and get back to this state title game. Not facing probably who they thought they'd be facing in this game, but still facing a very good Stephenville team. But they made it back, and they're taking on the champs out of 4A Division I. And you think they'll probably be the biggest challenge that Kilgore's seen since week one?
I mean, you have to think that, right? I mean, their path to the playoffs has, it's led to, you're either going to face this Stephenville team or Salina, who they played last year. And, like you said, may not be who they expected to play. They could have been looking towards a rematch with Salina after losing like they did last year in the state championship game. But to play this Stephenville team who beat Salina last week on a last-second field goal, and let's, we got to give Stephenville their props. They're 15-0. They haven't lost a game this year. Kilgore, yeah, they lost back in week 1 to Carthage. That's been their only loss. But Stephenville has not lost all year long. And, like I said, after their week 1 loss to Carthage, this Kilgore team has rattled off 15 straight. Taking a look at their regular season, what stands out to me, isn't, the number what they've done on the offensive side, but rather their defensive effort. Only giving up 21 to Carthage. The rest of the way, the biggest offensive output was this Lindale team that put 29 up.
Yeah, no, this Kilgore, the offense has been spectacular, as you can see some of the runs here. Like, they've been putting up some points, but you're right. The defensive effort has been the most impressive, and on cue. The defensive effort has been the most impressive thing here for the Kilgore Bulldogs, just absolutely annihilating folks and making it not fun for the other team. Like, taking the joy out of the game for the other team because they're just constantly hounding you like a pack of dogs. They're constantly on you and constantly hitting you. They got so much speed on the defensive side of the ball too that they can make some big plays. So yeah, this Kilgore defense has been extremely impressive this year, and it may be better than it even was last year, and they were good last season. You know what I mean? And they made it to the state game, but they may be even better this year, and I think that's the most impressive thing about this Kilgore team.
And you talk about just how impressive they've been. Impressive to me even more is the consistency they've had to keep it going in the playoffs, including last week's semifinal game that you were at, that you saw. From what you saw in the regular season, multiple times we've had them in games of the week. From what you saw in the regular season to last week, has there been any big change? What stood out to you the most watching them last week?
I don't think there has been a big change, and I think that's the thing about it. Like, if there's been any change, they've just gotten better. And like you see the Little Cypress Mauriceville in the district round, 14 points, that was in garbage time. So, I mean, take it for what it is. Then a shutout of Stafford, shutout of Bridge City, 3 points to Fort Bend Crawford that beat a Lindale team, beat a Pine Tree team, and was scoring 47 points a game. Kilgore held them to 3. And then in the state semifinals against one of the top 4 teams in the state that's left in the playoffs, Lavernia, shut them out completely. And at that game Friday, Colton, they didn't allow, I don't believe they allowed a first down in the first quarter. And if they did, it was late in that first quarter. Like, this Kilgore defense, and I say it all year long, that Kilgore, or that defense wins championships, and Kilgore has another opportunity here to prove that statement to be true.
Again, they kick off Friday morning, 11 o'clock against Stephenville, 15-0 Stephenville, the 4-4A Division I district championship. A team who has 6 state championships, one as recent as 2021. So look for Kilgore to put a good fight to Stephenville this Friday. And the game following right after theirs, a team with their kind of pedigree, needs no introduction, the Carthage Bulldogs. They're on the hunt for their 11th. That's right, 11 state championship. That's insane to say. It's hard to put that into words. That number, to think just how incredible that number is. They're riding into Jerry's World with a 29-game win streak. They take on West Orange Stark, a team who, Kyle, they're pretty familiar with this stage.
Yeah, they are familiar with this stage, and they've been one of those teams that has been able to find a way back to the state championship. They hadn't been there in a while, but they're finding their way back. But you're going up against a powerhouse in the Carthage Bulldogs that we talked about, a Kilgore team that may be better than they were last year. Same thing here. This Carthage team with D1 athletes all over the place. You talk about KJ Edwards. You talk about DeQuivius Beck. You talk about Junior Henderson on the outside, Carson Crawford on the defensive side of the ball. Not to mention future prospects like J.D. Edwards, on KJ's little brother, on the offensive side. Like, they have so much talent in Carthage, and it's all led by Jet Surratt at the quarterback position, who does a really good job of kind of being the point guard of the offense and distributing the ball to the playmakers. Then the defense for Carthage, yes, they've given up some points. We saw the Athens game, but they're still able to find ways to win those games, and I think that's the mark of a true champion.
Absolutely, and you take a look at their schedule, their path to the playoffs. It's not the typical Carthage team that we're used to seeing. There were many close games played, with these teams against Carthage. You look at Week 1 against Kilgore. We talked about that game, 21-10. The game you mentioned, one that really seemed to shock a lot of people, across the state, not just East Texas, in Athens, 61-56. That Athens Hornet team really put it to Carthage, and almost a wake-up call. It seemed like that. You see these teams who go on these dominant runs, you're on these long undefeated streaks. They need a wake-up call of a loss. Well, this, wasn't a loss by the Carthage team, but it might have been one that Coach Surratt would be like, hey, look, boys, we're not indestructible. We're not this, crazy machine that just can win every single game. We are susceptible to a loss. And it seemed like after that might have been a wake-up call that Carthage needed.
Well, and when you're a team like Carthage, you're getting everybody's best shot week in and week out. Like, you are the 10-time state champs, the defending state champs. You're going to get every team's absolute best effort week in and week out. And that's tough, right? Like, to be on 100 every week when you go and play and know that you can't lack up because there are teams coming for you, that's got to be tough. But this Carthage team is battle tested. They've proven that they can handle that stress. Even this game right here, the first round game against Pittsburgh, they were back and forth in a battle with that one in the first round. So yes, they've had some close games this year, but again, the test of a true champion, they have found a way to win these games, and they're on a path to go for number 11 now.
Yeah, and you bring up that their path to the playoffs. This defense kind of raised some concern about the points that they had put on them. I mean, again, we look at this Pittsburgh game. They've been able, like you said, to find ways to win. Like I said, Pittsburgh putting up a pretty close battle, especially there in that first half in the
Yeah.
by-district round. Carthage kind of took it to them in the second half, ended up putting 63 on them. But for Pittsburgh to put 34, followed by Sanger, who put up 35, those are the first two rounds of the playoffs, you see Carthage have 34 and 35 put on respectively. It kind of tilts some heads on, what is this defense?
But then you look at that Pleasant Grove game where, yes, it's 34-20, and they had to come back in that one. They were down early in that at halftime, I think 17-7, had to come back and win that game. Then you see the Athens score, rematch, and those 28 points came late. Those are late points.
And you can tell that Carthage team was very motivated to come out and put a statement win.
And the same thing with Brock. It was 28-7 at halftime. So, yes, the scores look big, and I think those first two rounds, the defense was a little susceptible. Beck was out, though. So, DeQuivis Beck, D1 signee, going to A&M. He wasn't on the field. So
that hurts.
Right, exactly. So, I believe he came back for that Pleasant Grove game. So, having him for these final three games, you see the defense playing better. Now, you look at Kilgore, how their defense has been dominant. Then you look at Carthage. It's kind of a different way of doing it, but I think this Carthage team, when you look at them, you have to find a way to win those games. Maybe you don't have the best defense that you had. Maybe you don't have the defense you had last year, but you have to find a way to win those games, and they're doing that.
And they're doing it multiple ways. When their defense, is having these points put up on them, the offense comes back and they can handle their own.
Yeah.
When the offense can kind of sputter a little bit, like we saw with the Pleasant Grove game, the defense steps up and makes plays. So and it seemed like those last two games against Athens and against Brock, they put it together where both offense and defense came together and was able to play a complete game. And looking at this graphic, 10 state championships, Aledo is the only school in the state with more state championship wins. If Carthage can win and have 11, that puts them within one of Aledo, who has 12.
And shout out to Frisco Lone Star for beating Aledo, so they can improve on that this year, so Carthage can gain. So that's shout out to Lone Star.
Friday, 3 o'clock, Carthage and West Orange start for a Division II state championship game. And last but not least,
technically first,
Joaquin Rams playing in their first state championship game. Shout out Joaquin, Shelby County. They started this season KO 3-3, and the Rams' lone loss in district came against Garrison. Thanks to a district tiebreaker, Joaquin was the 3 seed coming into this playoff run behind Garrison and district champions St. Augustine. And we said it all throughout district play, KO, that this district, 11-2A Division I, is one of the toughest, not only in East Texas, but throughout the entire state. So how about these Joaquin Rams making it this far after the heartbreak that we talked about last year, losing in the semifinal round?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the thing for Joaquin to be where they're at right now. And especially, last year, nobody expected them. They were a 4 seed and made kind of a magical run to the state semifinal round. This year, there were more eyes on Joaquin. But like you said, they weren't playing that Joaquin Ram football.
Right.
But playoff Joaquin and regular season Joaquin are two completely different animals.
Yes.
And right now we're getting playoff Joaquin. They got Cooper Bragg back, which has been a huge part of this offense. He is a key contributor to that team. He was hurt a little bit throughout the season. And you look at some of their losses in district play, they're close games. Like they weren't getting blown out in these games. So, and then to see what they did against Honeygrove and to see what they did against teams like that, and then Refugio to be able to come back and win to get to this point. This Joaquin team's different, and Coach Jared Jones has the boys playing really well.
And like we mentioned earlier, they started this year very up and down. 3 losses. Again, granted, they came from 3 really good East Texas teams. It started with a 40-22 loss against Frankston, who ended up being one of the, I'll say it, came to be one of the surprising teams out of East Texas. That followed that with their first win of the year against Beckville. And then Tenaha, a loss against Grand Saline. And then Corrigan Camden, San Augustine trading win-loss there to start the year 3-3 through those first 6 games. And then they kind of got right as they went on into the district and playoffs. But again, this Joaquin team, they just, like we said earlier, they found ways to win. Their slot T run probably one of the best running slot T's in the state.
Oh, yeah.
That they're just able to execute and make the right play every play.
And they can take the air out of the ball too, which I think is makes them a really formidable opponent. We saw it in that Refugio game when they got an onside kickback. Refugio touched the ball early on in the fourth quarter and didn't touch it again until under 2 minutes to go in the ball game. So this Joaquin team, they can hit you with 3-4 yard carries and just wear your defense absolutely smooth out, and then you break off big runs like this. So, yeah. I mean, this Joaquin team, man, they're tough to game plan against. They're tough to go against, but the Rams are, I mean, the thing I like about this game is it's two teams that have never been here before.
Yes.
It's two teams that somebody's going to win their first state title on Wednesday night, and I think that's the coolest thing about it.
Those games are so special because you know that the two communities, you know, not only are they playing for their first state championship game, they're playing both in their very first game. Like, there's guaranteed to be a new state champion crowned. But for both communities, Hamilton and Joaquin, to experience the state championship game the first time together, like there's nothing like that. And you talk about the difference between a regular season Joaquin and postseason Joaquin. Postseason, they really took it to a whole nother level. Multiple offensive outbursts, on the way to Wednesday's game. You look starting with Centerville and then Honeygrove, both 40-plus games. 74 against Elysian Fields.
Dude.
Elysian Fields is a really good football team. They were really, really, like, you can't undermine how good of a team Elysian Fields is.
Look at this, too. Honeygrove was one of the top teams in the state, according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football, all season long.
Yes.
So blew them out. Elysian Fields, we followed them all year long. They had a great year under head coach Bo Maines. Blow them out, 74-21. San Augustine, district champs out of their district. They beat them 35-24. And then Refugio, another top-ranked team in the state, and still found a way to win.
A team with a lot of pedigree, a team that has, year after year after year, found ways to make it back to, very deep into the playoffs. To put 37 up like they did. I was watching the stream of this game, and we were keeping up with it on Twitter, social media. It was one of those, they were down at halftime. They were down, I think, 20-7 or something along the lines like that. They were down multiple scores against a Refugio team, and it's very easy to be like, oh, well, just throw in the towel that, Refugio is going to be Refugio, and they're going to just do this. That didn't happen with Joaquin. They recovered, 2 onside kicks back-to-back?
It was an amazing comeback. It was 28-14 going into the fourth quarter, and they scored early on in the fourth, made it 28-21, and then kicked an onside kick.
Yes.
And instead of – this is what I love about Coach Jones. Instead of just kicking the extra point to tie it up, he went for 2, took the lead, 29-28, kicked another onside kick variable, kind of, and it got muffed by Refugio. Joaquin recovered again, goes down and scores, goes for 2 again to make it a 2-possession game. Like, the confidence that Coach Jones had in his kids to go for 2 in those moments is incredible, and I love it.
And if you're not afraid to make that kind of call in state semifinal game, I can't wait to see what he has cooking for him tomorrow in the state championship game. Again, Joaquin gets the first East Texas State Championship game tomorrow, 7 o'clock against Hamilton, the 5-2A Division I District Championship. Again, Kyle, they're 13-2 on the year. This is their first state championship appearance as well. So, like we mentioned earlier, a new state championship will be handed out tomorrow in Arlington. Now, before we end the show, we're going to take a look at every game you can see in AT&T Stadium, Wednesday through Saturday. We start Wednesday, Rankin and Gordon, 11 o'clock, 1A Division I state championship game. Gordon looking to three-peat against Rankin. The next game.
Well, Gordon, just want to mention, Gordon beat Union Hill in the state semifinals to get here. So an East Texas team that made it to the state semis, ran into a buzzsaw. I mean, Gordon, that's going to be a tough task for Rankin. Gordon's a good football team.
Yes, you have to be pretty good to three-peat, if I'm not mistaken. So they have the first game of the year of the state championship slate, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Jayton looking to repeat. They're playing Richland Springs, 2 o'clock, the 1A Division II state championship game. And then the game we just talked about, Joaquin Rams, Hamilton Bulldogs, 7 o'clock, the nightcap for the 2A Division II state championship game. Kyle and I will both be there along with KTRE Sports Director Ryan Smith. Thursday's games, Kyle, take it over.
Munster, the Munster Hornets taking on the Shiner Comanches. Shiner just knocked out the Mount Enterprise Wildcats in the state semis. Munster looking to repeat as state champs. They're going to play Thursday morning at 11 a.m. in the 2A Division II state championship game. And one of my favorite mascots in the state, the Zebras of Grandview. They're going to be taking on Yoakum. You're a Mineola kid. You're familiar with Yoakum.
I'm kind of familiar with Yoakum. That's the team that Mineola beat back in 2016. Almost 9 years ago, I think, to this day, or maybe yesterday.
Yeah, and they are going to be taking on Grandview. Yoakum Grandview should be a really good game. That's at 3 o'clock on Thursday in 3A Division I. And in the nightcap on Thursday, 3A Division II, it'll be Newton taking on Wall, and Kilgore, Stephenville meeting up for the 4A D1 state title game Friday morning at 11. We talked about that. Carthage, West Orange Stark, 4A Division II at 3 p.m. And then Frisco Lone Star, who knocked out Aledo, they're taking on the defending champs Smithson Valley. They round out the Friday slate for 5A D1. And on the last day
of the Texas high school football season, 3 heavyweight matchups. You start with Sauk, South Oak Cliff playing Richmond Randall, 11 o'clock for the 5A Division II.
Rematch.
It's a rematch. It is a
Last
rematch. And then after that game, the 6th time in 8 years, Duncanville will be taking on Galena Park North Shore, 3 o'clock. They're the 6A Division I state championship game. And anytime you think of that matchup, you got to think about 2018. One of the greatest endings to a state championship game.
The best ending.
I think you're right. Galena Park North Shore, Hail Mary to shock Duncanville at the last second. So they play 6th time in 8 years for the 6A Division I state championship game Saturday at 3 o'clock. And the last game of the 2025 Texas high school football season will be DeSoto taking on Sheldon King. That's the 6A Division II state championship game, 7 o'clock. Kyle, as we're wrapping up this preview special, any last thoughts before we head into our state championship games?
That 5A D2 and the 6A games, really think it's cool. Duncanville, DeSoto, and South Oak Cliff, all within like 15 miles of each other, and all playing in the state title game. So I think that's awesome. Saturday's going to be packed out at AT&T Stadium. They don't have very far to go for that. I'm hoping we go 3 for 3. I think we're going to be 3 for 3 this week.
You know what? I think we are too. It's very it's very exciting this time of the year. Again, you have your true blue bloods like Kilgore and Carthage, but then to see the new face, the new team on the block, and the Joaquin Rams be able to cement their legacy and their piece of history tomorrow right here on KLTV, KTRE. Be sure you tune in. We'll have playoff coverage throughout the next couple of days. I want to thank you for tuning in to Red Zone Overtime State Championship Preview, sponsored by Papa John's. Thank you for Papa John's sponsoring Red Zone Overtime all year long. Stay tuned in right here, East Texas Now, as well as KLTV, KTRE.com for latest on the UIL State Championship games. Michael Coleman, Ryan Smith, Kyle Owens, they'll all provide coverage from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Hope you have a good night. Let's go East Texas.